eclipsing the humidity from yesterday as the Mets continue their homestand against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Tuesday Night Baseball is presented by Verizon. This late season for the New York Mets, opportunities for a lot of people to try and establish themselves as regulars in the big leagues. Wilmer Flores among that group. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you tonight as the Mets play the second game of their four-game series against the Diamondbacks. We knew coming into the season Wilmer Flores could club lefties, and he's in the lineup against the left-hander Patrick Corbin tonight. The question for Wilmer Flores has been all year long, how much of a regular player can he be, and if so, where does that position for him in the batting order?
Well, I think the position in the batting order and on the field is going to be varied. I think he's going to be all over the lineup because of the kind of player he's become, a more versatile kind of player. He's never lost his confidence. He's always felt as though he should be an everyday player. The numbers against the left-handers, of course, as you said, are great. Facing Corbin tonight, but he proved he could hit right-handers too, but left-handers have always been his bread and butter.
The news yesterday, Steven Matt's out for the year. He's going to undergo elbow surgery to transpose a nerve. And so Tommy Milone, who made 3 starts for the Mets earlier this year and then hurt his knee, is back in the rotation. He'll pitch tonight.
Well, Malone's trying to find some of the magic that he had when he was in an Oakland A's uniform. His career record is 45-35. It has not been very good for Milone in minor leagues or in the major leagues as he tries to right the ship.
And lefty Patrick Corbin goes for the Diamondbacks. He has never beaten the Mets.
Well, a tremendous athlete. He's a kid that grew up near Syracuse in Clay, New York. He'll have friends and family here. You see, he's working on 16 1/3 straight scoreless innings this year, trying to repeat what he did in 2013 when he won 14 games.
Diamondbacks hanging on to that second wild card after beating the Mets in extra innings last night. Game 2 of the series tonight, the Mets and the Diamondbacks. All the action on SNY. SNY is brought to you by Verizon, the largest, most reliable 4G LTE network in America. By Tito's Handmade Vodka, America's original craft vodka. Visit us at titosvodka.com. By Citi, proud partner of the New York Mets. By Budweiser, America's other national pastime. This Bud's for you. And by Geico, over 75 years of savings and service. 1975. That was quite a year, 1975. Commemorate the inaugural Players Weekend, August 25th through the 27th at MLBshop.com with limited edition New York Mets jerseys and tees featuring player-picked nicknames. Wear the gear that the players will wear on field next weekend. Available while supplies last at MLBshop.com. Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. There was a time not all that long ago that the Arizona Diamondbacks were 10.5 games clear of the field in the National League wildcard race. Well, they're just 18-29 since the 28th of June, and now they have a 3.5 game lead over the field, holding on to that second wildcard spot, a half a game behind the Colorado Rockies. Mets and Diamondbacks continue their series at Citi Field. First pitch is coming right up.
of baseball.
Wilmer Flores and the Mets on the field as we get set for game 2 of this 4-game set between the Mets and the Diamondbacks. Hyundai starting lineup for the D-backs. Their catcher Jeff Mathis suffered a fractured hand last night, so he's on the disabled list. Chris Iannetta, who replaced him last night, in the lineup and batting second today. Brandon Drury at second base after Daniel Descalso started last night. Day off for Jake Lamb against the lefty, and so Adam Rosales plays third base for Arizona. Tommy Milone's made only 3 starts for the Mets. Coincidentally enough, one of them came against the Diamondbacks earlier this year.
Yeah, in the middle of May, where he took the loss. Land Rover numbers not good for Tommy Milone. He gave up 5 runs in 5 2/3 innings pitched against the Diamondbacks that evening. Here's Alexis Mets defense, who went as Cespedes, Lagares leading off and playing center field. Matt Reynolds, never a major league start in right field. Cabrera, Rosario, Cicchini, and Flores in the infield, and d'Arnaud behind the plate. So this is within a week. You've had Travis d'Arnaud play third base and Matt Reynolds out in right field.
Reynolds has never played a professional inning in right field. He's had a little experience in left field. So this is a brand new experience for Matt. Michael Conforto was a late scratch because of a sore right thumb. The expectation is that Conforto will be back on the lineup tomorrow, but with a lefty on the mound instead of Nimmo, it's Reynolds who gets the call in right field. David Peralta leads off for the Diamondbacks, 0 for 5 last night. And Malone's first pitch of the evening is on the outside corner for a strike, 0-1. Peralta with his 0 for 5 last night, so his batting average dipped just below 300 for the year. That's got Malone on waivers from the Milwaukee Brewers in early May. He made those 3 starts. The last one came May the 21st against the Angels. Got knocked out in the 2nd inning. Came up with a sprained left knee, and he's been out ever since.
Fastball, cutter, breaking ball, but he pitches around his changeup. Changeup is his best pitch.
Chris Iannetta on deck, then A.J. Pollock for the Diamondbacks. 1-2 to Peralta, and the fastball away, 2-2. For Malone overall, this is his 10th appearance, his 7th start of the year. His heyday was with Oakland. He had 3 good years in a row for the A's. 2012 to 2014, he was a combined 31-22 with a 3.84 ERA. Been bouncing around ever since.
His record still 10 games over 500 at 45-35.
2-2 coming, and the curveball bounced to second. Nice easy hop for Cicchini, and that's the first out of the night. So Malone gets Peralta to ground out, and now Chris Iannetta. 34-year-old former Rocky, making his 49th start of the year, and for the 5th time this year for the Diamondbacks, hitting number 2 in the batting order.
Yeah, you and I were talking about that. He's not your typical number 2 hitter, but 5 for 14 off Malone career.
I think for Torey Lovullo, when he takes Jake Lamb out of the lineup, who's normally his number 3 hitter, rather than mess with the other guys in the middle, he'd rather put a guy like Iannetta in that 2 spot. Moved A.J. Pollock down to 3rd tonight after he hit 2nd last night. Inside to Iannetta, 1-1. The Diamondbacks were already carrying 3 catchers, so with Mathis going on the DL, they still have Iannetta and Chris Herman. There's Mathis with that fractured hand. Have to imagine it's going to be hard for him to come back this year.
You and I talked about it. We saw that his hand was swelling and getting purple in front of our eyes, so we thought it was going to be more serious than they let on.
He stayed in the game for a while, but then had to come out. 1-2 coming, and Malone comes inside with the fastball, 2-2.
Malone in his first inning using his fastball much more than we saw in his first 3 starts with the Mets.
A.J. Pollock, who had the game-winning home run last night, waiting on deck. And Iannetta takes one the other way, base hit. So Iannetta, who had a base hit to right field after coming off the bench last night, has another one, his first at bat tonight.
Well, good hitting by Iannetta. Ball away, and he drives it that way. And a simple, I guess, for an infielder turned outfielder, a ground ball from Matt Reynolds in right field. That was a changeup that I think he threw a little hard, and Iannetta measured it.
So Reynolds already got to touch the ball in an unfamiliar spot a lot earlier in the game than Travis d'Arnaud did. And they're not going to flip-flop him. He's not going to left field every other batter. Here's A.J. Pollock. Pollock had really been struggling and really struggled most of last night as well. 0 for his first 4 before he took Eric Goodell's fastball over the center field fence in the 10th inning last night. A 2-run shot that put the Diamondbacks up 3-1. Mike Conforto hit a home run in the bottom of the 10th, but not enough, and the Diamondbacks won 3-2. It's pulled foul.
Well, 2-0, he took a fastball down the middle. He got the same pitch and didn't miss it on the 2-1 count. Showed a lot of power to center field at A.J. Pollock.
Just his 6th home run of the year and his first away from Chase Field in Phoenix. It's been a disappointing year overall for Pollock, who spent 6 weeks on the disabled list at midseason with a groin injury and has had trouble getting it restarted since coming back. 1-1, Goldschmidt on deck. And the fastball on the inside corner, a strike, 1-2. Goldschmidt, who took a rare 0 for 5 last night, waiting to follow.
He's got a little 0 for working right now, right?
0 for 12. It's unusual for him. He's such a consistent hitter.
Double play depth up the middle.
Pollock takes the cutter inside, 2-2. Collins has had to dig deep into his bag of starting pitchers this year, and now the roulette wheel has spun back to Malone's name. They'll need another starting pitcher Sunday. Got in on the fist, a little blue. Flores gets there in time for the second out. A good cutter by Malone, got in on the fists of Pollock, and there are 2 away.
Again, I've been saying in this first inning, Malone really using his fastball much more than we saw him in his first 3 starts, and that cutter in jammed Pollock.
Well, you wonder whether the knee had anything to do with the fact that he was unable to finish his pitches earlier this season. But so far so good for Malone. Now he'll take on Goldschmidt. Goldschmidt hitting .313, 7th in the National League, 29 home runs, 4th in the league, 96 RBIs, 3rd in the league. And he takes the cutter on the outside corner, 0-1.
You know, it's interesting when you look at the shift now. Sometimes it depends on the circumstances, right? Paul Goldschmidt is great at going the other way for an RBI, but in this situation, he's trying to hit an extra base hit, and that's why maybe the infield is shifted around.
That would be an interesting thing to see, wouldn't it, if the Diamondbacks had a runner at second, if the Mets would shift differently?
Yeah, right. The situational kind of defense.
I mean, it occurs to you,
yeah,
but does it change their charts and their way of playing against a particular hitter? Off the corner, and it's 2-1. Only 6 of Goldschmidt's 29 home runs this year have come against left-handed pitching. One of them against Tommy Malone. And that's pulled down the left field line, and Goldschmidt's got an extra base hit. Iannetta, slow runner, he heads to third as Cespedes digs it out, and they'll hold him up. Goldschmidt pulls in at second with a 2-out double, his 29th double of the year, and his first hit in this series.
Well, that's the only problem with hitting Iannetta in that second hole is you can't score on this bullet by Goldschmidt. Little cutter in, pulled his hands in, and kept it fair down the line. Hit like a shot, though, so Cespedes, when he got to it, no chance for Iannetta to score. Hey, listen, he's a big athlete, a big catcher. He's not going to be able to score on that baseball.
He's a Tar Heel, but he's not a Tar Heel point guard. So Iannetta now at third, Goldschmidt at second with 2 out. And here's J.D. Martinez. He went 1 for 4 last night and drove in a run. Martinez playing his 29th game with the Diamondbacks since being traded from Detroit. Fly ball, deep right center. Back goes Lagares to the warning track, looking up, and it's out of here. J.D. Martinez unloads an opposite field 3-run homer, his 26th of the year, his 10th with the Diamondbacks, and Arizona has an instant 3-0 lead. And the Mets suffer another 3-run first inning, the 17th time this year they've given up 3 or more runs in the first.
You know, in yesterday's game, I tried to talk about the kind of power that J.D. Martinez has to right field and right center. Maybe not Piazza kind of power, but pretty amazing power. And it's almost like he sat on a changeup there from Malone. First pitch.
And for Tommy Malone, the 12th home run he's allowed in just 34 innings this season. Here's Brandon Drury.
First pitch. Oh, just a little curveball, and he sat on it and didn't miss it. 6 for 17 now off Malone with a couple of home runs.
Changeup fouled away, and it's 1-1 to Drury. Brandon Drury, who turned 25 years of age yesterday, shares a birthday with J.D. Martinez, who was 30 yesterday.
Couldn't get on the lineup on his birthday.
Martinez a little late in his birthday celebration, now has the home run. Drury came off the bench last night and struck out as a pinch hitter. Getting the call at second base today. Another changeup from Malone, and he gets ahead 1-2. Well, 3 batters in. Malone was looking sharp. Goldschmidt took him down the line. Next pitch, Martinez takes him out of the ballpark, and all of a sudden he's in an early hole. 1-2 coming. Darts just outside. 2-2.
You got to stay with Jerry Lane, the home plate umpire. He'll give you a little later call than most.
It's from the Tim McClellan school. A full count to Drury. Malone made 5 starts on rehab. His most recent was 8 days ago for Binghamton. He went 6 2/3 in that game. And Drury hits the comebacker. And a low throw, but Flores able to wrestle it down, and Malone finds his way through the first inning. J.D. Martinez, big 3-run homer, puts the Diamondbacks on top early. Washington Square Park. You ever think about how many different types of people you can meet just in that one little square of real estate?
So true. The NYU students, the buskers, the
chess players,
dominoes, 3-card Monty.
Just a little slice of everything New York has to offer. Patrick Corbin on the mound for the Diamondbacks. Juan Lagares leads off and takes a strike.
I was talking about the numbers in 2013 for Corbin when he was 14-8, had Tommy John surgery, and these are his Toyota numbers this year. He's had a lot of base runners, a lot of base hits in innings pitched, a lot of walks.
Well, think about it this way: that 2013 season, he was 14-8, 3.41, his best season in the big leagues. Since coming back from Tommy John surgery, as he gets Lagares on 3 pitches, he's 21-29, 4.47. So his ERA is a full run higher. His record is 8 games under 500.
Slider down and in does the job there against Lagares.
Here's Cabrera, 0 for 4 last night, playing third base tonight. Mets continue to showcase Cabrera, and there's really no other way to put it. He's been in the lineup every day, playing some second, playing some third tonight. He's really the last veteran player that the Mets are looking to trade, and so far, no deal.
You can't trade a veteran player unless you play him so the scouts can see him. So you'll know when he's traded, maybe when he's not in the lineup, if he gets traded. There's Steve Balboni, one of my favorites. Bye Balboni still holds the home run record for the Kansas City Royals.
By 1.
I know, because
Moustakas says 35. The Royals are the only team that's never had a 40 home run hitter. Balboni holds the record with 36. But here's the irony: the Mets had all these pending free agents, and only one of them asked to be traded, and he's the guy who's still here.
Yeah.
Isn't that somewhat ironic? 0-2 to Cabrera, and Asdrubal fouls it away. Sometimes you can't always get what you want. Here's your Geico Mets starting lineup tonight. Originally, Conforto was in the leadoff spot, which is an interesting story in itself. But when he was scratched with a sore thumb, Reynolds went in the lineup, and Lagares was elevated to the leadoff spot. Conforto's been hitting third and fourth lately, but without much positive effect. And so Terry Collins, taking note of how well Conforto was hitting when he was batting leadoff, was set to move Michael back to the top tonight. And he expects to have him in there tomorrow. On the inside corner, Cabrera caught looking. There's an argument with Jerry Lane about it, and Corbin has struck out his first 2.
Defensively for the Diamondbacks, same outfield as they had yesterday. Coors Light defense, Peralta, Pollock, and Martinez. Some changes in the infield. Rosales gets to start at third base. Drury gets to start over Descalso at second. And Chris Iannetta in there. Jeff Mathis, we told you, with the broken hand.
So here's Cespedes, who's put a couple of multiple hit games together in a row. He had 3 hits last night and drove in a run. Cespedes hitting just .230 against left-handed pitching this year. And he takes the fastball away from Corbin. Patrick Corbin, now 28 years old, as Ronnie mentioned, grew up near Syracuse, big Syracuse Orange fan. And a pretty good basketball player in his own right, a guy who can do 360 dunks. I mean, we had 2 pretty good basketball players pitching last night with Gazelman and Walker, but I think Corbin may have been more accomplished than all of them. 3-0 to Cespedes.
So the Diamondbacks might have a little edge if they had a winner game against the Mets.
Well, if they played 2-on-2, who's the Mets' second guy? That's drilled over short, base hit for Cespedes. So he gets the green light on 3-0 and has the Mets' first hit of the night. And Cespedes is now hit in 4 straight games.
Marte up, but not enough.
Every time I hear Wilmer's walk-up music, I think, is he more a Ross? Is he a Chandler? Is he a Joey? Wilmer 1 for 5 last night, and he chops one back to Corbin, who makes the toss on target to retire the side. You'll have to chew on that for a little longer. A hit and one left. 3-0 Diamondbacks after one. Marte leads off for the Diamondbacks in the second, and we were kind of taken with his seafoam green spikes tonight.
Well, you know, I have no expertise on colors, but it matches the name on the back of his uniform.
Right. The lettering on those very dark gray road uniforms. But when you watch from a distance, the contrast between the dark gray and the seafoam green is it's a little startling. Marte lifts the changeup foul.
So for me, the way I see colors, that looks brown to me. Their uniforms, not gray.
Well, it's a very dark gray with a snake on the sleeve. I mean, the shoes look like something you give your kids to wear in the pool.
That's right. Or in the ocean so they don't cut their feet, the bottom of their feet.
Maybe without the spikes on the bottom. Marte 0 for 4 last night, and he goes flailing at the curveball in the dirt. Darno makes the toss, and there's the first strikeout of the night for Malone. One away. Now Adam Rosales. Rosales playing third base tonight. He was acquired at the trade deadline from Oakland. In fact, I think we saw him play for the A's when they were here earlier this year. Played 9 games for the Diamondbacks since being dealt, now with his 5th major league team.
Must have been a teammate of Malone at some point, I'm thinking, right?
Malone, remember, was first drafted by the Nationals and then went to Oakland in the deal that brought Washington Gio Gonzalez. That was back in December of 2011. Brad Peacock was also in that deal, right? That's the other pitcher. Toward the middle, Rosario gets over and gets Rosales by a stride, 2 away. Look at tonight's Verizon trivia question. In the 1999 National League Division Series against Arizona, the Mets hit 5 home runs. Which 3 players hit them? Well, I got 2 off the top of my head.
Very not. Don't look at me.
Well, I was there. I mean,
well, you're supposed to know it then.
2 of them hit them in the first game against Randy Johnson. And then there was the one that ended the series.
Oh, okay, I got it. I got 1 out of 5. Bad.
Patrick Corbin just 3 for 44 at the plate this year. He's been a better hitter than that in the past. Lifetime 151. And the curveball from Malone for a strike, and it's 1-2. So we mentioned the Mets allowed 3 runs in the first inning for the 17th time this year. That is 1 shy of a club record. Club record was set in 1963, second year of the franchise. 18 times they gave up 3 or more in the first inning. Just for contrast, last year 6 times. The year before 6 times. This year 17 times. I mean, that's just such a killer to put your team in that big a hole that quickly. And it really speaks to the entire nature of how the Mets starting pitching has gone south this year.
And then as a starting pitcher, it puts you behind the 8 ball. You can't give up anything the rest of the game.
Strike 3 called. Corbin caught looking. 2 strikeouts and a 1-2-3 second for Tommy Malone. 3-0 Arizona.
Deep to right field, right down the line, headed toward the pole. It's out of here! Kirk Neuenhuis makes history! Kirk Neuenhuis, the first Met ever to hit 3 home runs in a home game.
He was not the likeliest guy to do it.
Do you think the bench was reacting because it was his 3rd home run, or were they reacting because they knew it was a record?
I don't think they knew it was a record.
Okay, because it seemed like they were just so ecstatic.
But 3 home runs in a game. I think Kirk had 1 home run all season before that. And it was July.
But he'd had a couple games where he had 2 home runs in a game.
And of course, later that year, he had the huge home run in Washington in that big early September series. Travis d'Arnaud leads off the home second, bangs one right at the shortstop Marte, and there's 1 out. And of course, after the Mets had gone more than 50 years into their history without anybody hitting 3 home runs in a home game, what was it, 3 weeks later, Lucas Duda did it?
Still waiting for someone to follow up Santana with a no-no.
Yeah, I might wait a little longer. If it happens this year, I will be even more shocked than when Santana did it. Well, here's Matt Reynolds, the newly minted right fielder. He had started 1 game in the outfield in his career. That was in left field last year. Now starting his first ever professional game in right field. Corbin gets ahead of him 0-2. Matt's had 57 big league at bats this year, hitting .211 with 1 home run. Ahmed Rosario on deck. And he gets tied up and goes down swinging. 3rd strikeout for Corbin.
Corbin so far has got the sinker working away from the right-handers, and then this power slider working in on them. So he's got them thinking about the ball moving 2 different ways early in this game. That's why you've seen some funny swings.
Corbin's in his best stretch of the year. Last time out against the Astros, 8 2/3 innings. Was 1 out shy of a shutout when he was pulled at 105 pitches. Came into the night having thrown 16 1/3 consecutive scoreless innings, and he's added to that already. And Rosario fouls the slider at the plate, and it's 0-2. Ahmed 1 for 4 last night. Now making his 20th big league start. 70 at bats, hitting .243 with 2 home runs. Pops out of the mid of Iannetta, 1-2. Kevin Cicchini hitting 8th in the order. He would be next. And Rosario hits it right at Marte. And the shortstop throws out his counterpart. Inning over. 1-2-3 for Patrick Corbin in the second. A 9-pitch inning. After 2, 3-0 Diamondbacks. Third inning, 3-0 Diamondbacks. Top of the batting order, David Peralta leads off against Tommy Malone. Takes a big hack, 0-1. Let's check in with Steve Gelbs. His report tonight is brought to you by Bud Light. Steve?
Gary, the story of David Peralta is an incredible one of perseverance. Originally signed as a pitcher by the Cardinals, went through some shoulder surgeries. Injuries derailed that portion of his career, and he was released in 2009. Went home to Venezuela, decided to reinvent himself as an outfielder, moved back to the States, and played parts of 3 seasons in independent ball before he finally got a shot catching on with a minor league affiliate of the Arizona Diamondbacks as he grounds out Cicchini right here. Now, on the surface, the broad strokes are incredible enough, but when you start to look at the details, the story becomes that much more remarkable. Like, take this for instance. Before his first independent league season, he needed the gas money to drive from Florida to Texas where his team was playing, so he had to work at a McDonald's for a month just to save up enough money to get to Texas. Peralta, once he was there, had to sleep on an air mattress and at times went full days without eating so that he could send any extra money back home to Florida for his fiance to pay the bills. And Ron, you talk all the time about how it takes a village for every player to get up here and stick. He said he would have never made it without his fiance, who at times had to work 2 jobs just to make sure Peralta could continue to pursue his dream.
Love those stories. Imagine St. Louis having 2 pitchers go on to be outstanding outfielders, and Keel, of course, for a different reason, and Peralta.
It really is remarkable. I mean, the perseverance that anybody would have to basically switch your profession midstream, go back to the bottom rung and start all over again, which is what Peralta did, and then be able to achieve at as high a level as he did 2 years ago. He had himself a terrific season with the Diamondbacks, a guy who had come out of nowhere.
We see a lot of former players that couldn't hit that turned into pitchers. Not as many the other way.
Iannetta takes inside. Chris Iannetta had a base hit to right field, scored in front of the J.D. Martinez 3-run homer in the first. Misses with a changeup, 3-2. Since the home run, Malone has retired 5 in a row, striking out a couple. Trying to settle back in his first big league start in 3 months. Changeup fouled off. I mentioned that the Mets are going to need another starter. That's because they play a day-night doubleheader in Washington on Sunday. So Malone is slated to pitch one of those games, but the Mets are going to have to figure out somebody else to pitch the other game.
What are those game times? 1 and 8 are the game times?
30 and 8.
1:30 and 8. Sorry.
3-2 coming, and that's smack deep to left field. Back goes Cespedes. It's over his head. Pops up against the wall. Iannetta digging for second, and he slides in safely with a 1-out double. So Chris Iannetta came off the bench last night with a base hit, and he's 2 for 2 tonight.
Well, in the lineup because he's had success against Malone. Now 7 for 16 with a ringing double over the head of Cespedes. Honestly thought as long as it took him to get out of the box, I thought Cespedes was going to have a play on him at second base.
If that ball hadn't hung in the air coming off the wall as long as it did, he might have. So a 1-out double for Iannetta. The 4th hit against Malone, and now A.J. Pollock, who fouled out to Flores his first time up.
You know, a lot of getting out of the box is the type of swing you have. Guys hit off their front foot, better chance. Guys hit up their back foot, kind of linger in that box a little bit. And this is Chris turning it on, and he had to.
He's going as fast as he could.
One of the rare players from Rhode Island.
Wrestling that changeup from Malone that ran inside.
Probably going to be wrong about this, so you people out there let me know. But I always think the best player from Rhode Island was Davey Lopes when I think about players from Rhode Island.
I'd have to look at a list. There just aren't guys who come to mind off the top of your head. Off the corner, 2-1 to Pollock. Well, Dave Freed has come up with a list. 3 Hall of Famers.
Oh, jeez. I knew I was going to miss it.
Gabby Hartnett, Hugh Duffy, Napoleon Lajoie, all born in Rhode Island.
Just missed watching them.
Looking at the rest of the list here. Bill Allman.
Of course, #1 pick in San Diego Padres was a Met.
Paul Konerko.
Outstanding player.
Underrated player.
Let's see who else we got. Clem Labine.
Okay.
Great relief pitcher for the Brooklyn Dodgers.
People at home, look up Konerko's stats one day when you have a chance. He had an amazing offensive career after being traded from the Dodgers to the White Sox.
I think I've reached the limit of my big names from Rhode Island. But Davey Lopes is right up there. Rocco Baldelli.
Number 5 for the Tampa Bay Devil Rays.
Devil Rays, right. 2-2 coming. Line foul ball down the left side, out of play. Be at Citi Field Saturday, September 9th. The Mets take on the Cincinnati Reds at 7:10 p.m. First 15,000 fans in attendance will receive a Mets fleece blanket, courtesy of the Northwest Company. For tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets. Probably wouldn't need the blanket tonight. It's pretty warm and very humid. But by the second week in September, it might be a welcome addition to your Mets paraphernalia collection. Full count to Pollock with Goldschmidt on deck.
You know, you mentioned Baldelli. It was a shame what happened to him. I think he had a muscular disorder or something. The wound socket rocket, as he was known in Rhode Island.
Right, they could only play him like every second or third day. Eighth pitch of the at bat coming from Malone to Pollock. And he taps one toward the middle. Rosario far to his left, but he kicks it. Iannetta being waved home, and he will score without a throw. Well, Rosario moved over very nicely to get to that ball, but he whiffed on it. And Iannetta scores. Pollock safe at first.
You know, it was interesting. The ball up the middle, and I was wondering if Rosario took his eye off it because of the speed of Pollock. He was trying to be a little quicker with this play and didn't secure it in his glove. Went a long way for it. Kind of the kick went back to his right, so it kind of hit off the heel of his glove. He overran that ball up the middle.
And then it hit the outside of his knee, which is why it bounced so far away. It's an error on Rosario, no RBI. 4-0 Diamondbacks. And now Goldschmidt, who drilled a double into the left field corner his first time up.
See how he had to reach back to his right knee. You really want to play that either in the middle of your body or shade to your left knee, because it's easier to get rid of it to first base.
He had his eyes down on the ball.
Yeah, he did.
Way.
Just
misplayed it.
I think he overran it. You're right. Almost too fast for his own good.
Goldschmidt snapped an 0 for 12 with that double his first time up. And he takes the changeup for a strike, 1-1. You know, I was thinking about Rosario and his comments after the play against the Marlins on Sunday, talking about the little plays that he needs to learn on. And I wonder if you can even quantify how a young player learns from his mistakes like that. You know, each time something happens, like that time maybe went a little too far to his left, maybe was a little too conscious of the runner. Do those things build in a positive way, or do you worry about them building in a negative way if they keep on happening?
Well, if you look at a player and you're not sure he's ready for this level of baseball, then maybe it could go in a negative way. I think Rosario is certainly primed to play here, so I don't think it would affect him negatively.
Goldschmidt pops one up into shallow center. Lagares coming on, and Juan gets there, 2 out.
I think the whole thing for me, Gary, is that playing the middle infield position, but especially shortstop, it's the prime position, is that you can field all the ground balls perfectly, but when you're under the gun or you have to make a play, or the other day D. Gordon with the speed as a factor, all of those things are learning things for Rosario as he goes around the league. But you won't know that until you have the play to make. And sometimes he'll make them, and sometimes he won't. But I think he's an intelligent kid, and he'll learn from the small mistakes that he makes.
Here's J.D. Martinez with the 3-run homer in the first inning. I guess my question is, are they building blocks, the mistakes?
They have to be. I think that a lot of organizations try to, hide their players from being in a position where it's a difficult position for them. I think it's just the opposite. The more you're under the gun, the better you're going to be. This is a meritocracy. And the quicker you get through this learning curve, which is very difficult at times and can be very humbling at times, the quicker you get through to the other side is when you can start being you.
They say in this game you can't succeed until you fail.
That's right.
At least not at the highest levels. Malone ahead on Martinez, 0-2. This is with the cutter, 1-2. J.D. Martinez with his home run in the first inning has now homered against all 30 major league teams. And he's done that with only 133 major league home runs, which seems like a very small number to have homered against all 30 teams. Of course, started out in the American League with Houston and Detroit.
So great timing, you're saying.
It seems that way, right? We chronicled the story of J.D. Martinez last night and how he struggled so mightily his 3 years with the Astros. They took him off the 40-man roster. He hooked up with the Tigers, and his career blossomed there. Acquired last month in a deal for 3 minor leaguers. 1-2 coming, and he fouls off the changeup to stay alive.
Kind of funny how that works, right? Detroit's started to think about dumping some players, Martinez being the first. Kinsler was talked about, and others. Well, the Texas Rangers did that also, trading Luke Roy and trading Yu Darvish, and they've only just started to play the way they can play.
Texas just 2 games out in that American League wild card race. To Martinez. There have been very few easy at bats for Tommy Malone. That's why he is up to 65 pitches now, working with 2 out in the third. Inning prolonged by the Rosario error that brought home the run here in the third. Pollock at first and 2 down. And Martinez down swinging to end the inning. Third strikeout for Tommy Malone. An unearned run for the Diamondbacks in the third. They lead 4-0. 4-0. Patrick Corbin in charge early on. The Spectrum high-speed pitch has him in the lead there too.
Maybe one of the first times that not one of the pitchers was 95 or above.
Gavin Cicchini leads off in the home third. Cicchini playing second base and batting eighth, his 6th start of the season. Started Sunday, went 1 for 3. And he reaches and fouls it away. Quickly 0-2. And Jose Reyes on the disabled list, but still mentoring Ahmed Rosario. Talking perhaps about that last play in the field.
I know being when I was a young player, Mike Torres was on the Mets, and if I had a bad inning or a bad game and I would see him, I'd ask him a question like this: "Did you see anything out there that I was doing that was just blatantly wrong?" And sometimes he would have an answer and sometimes he wouldn't. So that's the kind of conversations that go on.
Cicchini lines one to center. Pollock will have to play it on the hop. And Cicchini has the Mets' second hit of the night, a leadoff single on an 0-2 pitch.
Pretty good breaking pitch from Corbin, down and away, but Cicchini, good 2-strike approach.
So now Tommy Milone, lifetime 200 hitter. Tommy Malone's first at bat in the major leagues. First pitch he saw against Dylan G, he hit a 3-run homer.
No way.
Oh yeah. It was in 2011. You're being asked to bunt. By the way, speaking of Dylan G, did you see what he did last night?
He had a perfect game into the 5th and went 6 innings.
6 innings, 2 hits. As the Twins got a split of their doubleheader from the White Sox. Minnesota hanging on to that second wild card spot, and G doing his piece. We were talking about Patrick Corbin. His big year was 2013, made the All-Star game. Tommy John surgery the next year, and it's been kind of climbing uphill ever since. On a good streak right now. And Malone, did he offer at it? He did not. It's a pass from Mike Estabrook, and it's 3-1.
The only criticism I hear about that Corbin year is that he pitched 208 innings that year, went over the 200 inning mark pretty early in his career, and some folks thought that maybe contributed to the Tommy John. Who knows? It was an excellent year, though.
Malone foul tips the bunt, and it's 3-2. The Diamondbacks second in the National League in staff ERA. 4th in the majors. 3-2. Malone still bunting, and it's ball 4. So Corbin loses Malone, who was trying to give him an out, to a walk. First walk of the night for Corbin, and the Mets have 2 men on.
A big mistake by Corbin there. I see Lagares looking at Glenn Sherlock, who's asking the runners to look at him as he goes through a series of signs. We know that Juan likes to bunt for a base hit occasionally. No outs here. Runners on first and second.
Drury and Marte, the second baseman and shortstop, having high-level conferences. It's like Yalta out there. Come on, guys. How much can there be to talk about?
Luckily, there's not a clock.
Lagares struck out his first time up. And Juan takes a slider in the dirt, and Iannetta got enough of it to keep Cicchini from thinking about advancing.
Breaking ball in the dirt. Nice job. Right quad or thigh of Iannetta got a piece of that baseball.
Cicchini was trying to kind of kicking himself after that because Iannetta didn't really know where it was for a couple of beats. Mets down 4-0. Better to be safe. And now all of a sudden Corbin's lost the strike zone after walking the pitcher. He's behind Lagares 2-0. And that'll get Mike Butcher, the pitching coach, out of the dugout, and he'll go out and talk to Corbin.
Asking the umpire Jerry Lane for some time. Occasionally a pitching coach will see something so blatant in a pitcher's mechanics that they'll rush out there and try to settle their pitcher down. He's got a 4-run lead. You know, Corbin, as you said, has lost a little in this inning. Walking the pitcher was his biggest mistake.
Let's answer our Verizon trivia question. 3 players who hit home runs against the Diamondbacks in that LDS: Alfonso, Olerud, Pratt.
There you go.
Alfonso hit one early in that game 1 against Randy Johnson, then hit the grand slam in the 9th, and then he had another one later in the series. Olerud was the first left-hand hitter in 2 years to hit one against Randy in that first game, and then Pratt had the game winner off Mad Manti in game 4 to win the series.
That's the one that was just over Finley's glove in center field. Okay.
Where nobody in the ballpark, including Pratt, knew that he got it. There's Dribble Cabrera on deck. So Corbin behind Lagares 3-0. You certainly have to think Juan's taking a pitch here. Corbin normally is a strike thrower, 2.6 walks per 9 innings. When he gets in trouble, it's because he gives up too many hits. In fact, coming into the night, he had given up the 3rd most hits of any pitcher in the National League.
Started this inning with the 0-2 hit to Cicchini.
Now it's 3-1 to Lagares, who struck out his first time up. Cicchini at second, Malone at first, nobody out. And Lagares pulls one down to third, taking it to the bag, Rosales, and that's all he'll get. Mistake by Rosales, and he knew it immediately. He was too far from the bag to get there and turn 2 against the speed of Lagares. Had he gone to second, he probably would have had a double play.
Well, he was just playing too deep, and boy, almost didn't stay down for that ground ball. He was going to try to use third base to propel him to first base, but Lagares just has too much speed.
And he realized immediately he had made a mistake. Rosales, a veteran player who plays everywhere. So instead of 2 out and a runner at third, which is what it would have been had he gone to second base, it's 1st and 2nd and 1 out. And here is Cabrera, who took a call 3rd strike his first time up. Changeup misses away, ball 1.
So we showed that graphic, 4th in ERA in the major leagues for the pitching staff. We've seen their offense. You know, they really have some amazing players, Goldschmidt and Lamb, but I'm underwhelmed by their defense, a game and a part of another one so far.
Cespedes on deck. Cabrera pulls one, and Rosales with a diving stop gets the out at second. The turn for the double play. So after making a mistake on the previous play, Rosales makes no mistake this time and starts a terrific 5-4-3 double play to get Corbin through the inning. That's how you pick yourself up. Rosales made a mistake, repaid Corbin in spades. baseball better by rewarding their customers with exclusive ballpark access and experiences. Visit sny.tv/Verizon and learn how you can get access and rewards like these lucky fans. Brandon Drury leads off the 4th inning and takes a strike from Tommy Milone. Drury hit a comebacker his first time up. 3-run homer by J.D. Martinez in the 1st, an unearned run in the 3rd against Milone, his first start since May the 21st. He darts one outside, a ball and a strike. Ketel Marte on deck, and then Adam Rosales for the Diamondbacks in the 4th. Diamondbacks got help in the wild card standings last night from the young Giants pitcher Chris Stratton, who threw 6 scoreless innings and blanked Milwaukee 2-0, which opened up a 3.5 game lead for the Diamondbacks over the Brewers for that last wild card spot. The Giants, who, as Ronnie mentioned last night, have already been eliminated in August.
You're supposed to be one of the teams.
It's amazing. Well, they are 39 games out of first place. You know how many games out of first place the 62 Mets finished?
Can't even imagine.
60 and a half. 60
and a half.
That's
hilarious.
Out to right. Conforto has it lined up. Reynolds, excuse me, for the first down. Well, he was supposed to play right field.
That's right.
But Reynolds, with his first official chance as a major league or even professional right fielder, and he handled it quite nicely.
Look, he's trying to play it off like he's not nervous, but it's probably you always have nerves going into a game, but he's got to be more nervous now than he's been in a long time.
You know how you can tell? The bubbles are smaller.
Can't get enough air into the bubble.
Can't quite push enough air into the bubble.
Good one. Maybe Steve Gelbs will pick us up on this one. There used to be a time when infielders used to really chatter during the game. Hum babe, throw a strike, let's go, get ahead of them. You'd hear the constant chatter of the infielders behind you. When you're in the outfield, there's no chatter for outfielders.
Who would hear you?
That's right. It's like a tree falling.
Well, when you start out in Little League,
yeah,
there are few enough people around that even if you're playing center field or playing right field, you can still be heard by your teammates.
Well, also the benches have their own kind of cheers. Some are rhyming where they're trying to cheer their teammate on.
Marte takes on the outside corner, strike 3 call. 4th strikeout for Milone, and there are 2 out. I got a question.
Sure.
Was Keith a hum babe kind of guy?
Keith wasn't a hum babe. His favorite thing to say was, and it was kind of like the boy who cried wolf, he would say it in big games now, about 20 times a game. This is a huge out. RJ, you got to get this out. This is huge. Got to have it.
He'd say that from first base when you're on the mound, like chatter?
No, he would sometimes come like running by you, or you would come to first base to cover, and he'd give you the ball. Have the ball, and you walk by him and you go, got to have this next out.
Give you that little fist.
Let's go. You would.
Rosales lifts one deep to left center. Back goes Cespedes to the track at the wall. It's out of here. Adam Rosales, after that fine diving stop to start double play, now contributes his 5th home run of the year and his first as a Diamondback. And it's 5-0 Arizona. And he might have just set a speed record going around the bases.
First Adam Rosales with that fine defensive play after I said I was underwhelmed by the Arizona defense shut me up, but he didn't shut anyone up with that home run. He'll change up down middle, and Rosales got all of it. He's supposed to have a home run try. He wasn't sure if it was going to be off the wall. He's that kind of player, hustling kind of player, and he never broke it down.
He didn't slow up at all.
He's got that lean forward.
I mean, I know that StatCast must keep track of home run trots. The one Cespedes had the other day, one of the slowest we've seen all year, that had to be one of the fastest.
Well, Rosales, if you knew him, he's just one of those great guys to have on a team. Great teammate, uniform dirty kind of player.
Malone strikes out Corbin to end the inning. 5 strikeouts for Malone, but 2 home runs for the Diamondbacks tonight. Rosales is first as an Arizona Diamondback. McDonald's Family Sunday, when the Mets take on the Reds at 1:10 p.m. The first 15,000 fans in attendance will receive a Mets fidget spinner presented by PC Richard & Son. Plus, all kids 12 and under can run the bases after the game in the Mr. Met Dash, courtesy of Northwell Health. For tickets, visit Mets.com/Family Sunday. So, since we first had our fidget spinner conversation the other day, have you checked one out to see what the deal is?
I've been told by many of my friends who have tried to, after you told me what it was, were shocked that I did not know what a fidget spinner was, and they took it upon themselves. They thought it was very important for them to try to explain it along with you, and each time I was not interested, and still not interested in finding out about the fidget spinner.
So you have not had a fidget spinner in your hands yet?
I have not.
So perhaps when the giveaway item arrives, which generally the giveaway item will arrive at our booth a day or two before it's given away, so we can show it on the air or promote it in some way, will you be testing out the fidget spinner to see if it's something that you might want to incorporate into your day?
I don't know if I'll incorporate it into my day, but I'll be all over it when it comes here, if it's not confiscated by the people that are in our booth that like the giveaways. If it's not confiscated by them, then yes, I will try to figure it out.
So you're saying if you can get your hands on one before they disappear?
Exactly.
Now I understand. Flores on deck. 1-2 to Cespedes. In tight, and he has to spin. 2-2. Cespedes at a base hit to left on a 3-0 pitch his first time up. Now 4 for 6 in this series. And starting to heat up a little bit with the bat over the last few days after what has been a very frustrating year for him. And he tops one up the third baseline, foul. Patrick Corbin lost his control for a little bit in the third inning, but was able to keep the Mets off the board. Again, he comes inside to Yoenis, and it's 3-2.
Now this would be a point in the game when you're winning 5-0 where you challenge any hitter.
But he came with a slider and it's fouled off.
The reason I say that is that you really, if you throw a slider and you get a strikeout or an out with it, you feel on top of the moon. But if you miss and walk a hitter when you're winning by 5 runs, you just kick yourself.
Eighth pitch coming to Cespedes, and the changeup misses for ball 4. So a leadoff walk.
Insert kick.
Second walk given up by Corbin. City probables for the remainder of the series. Chris Flexen tomorrow night against Zach Godley, who's had an unexpectedly fine season for the Diamondbacks. Rafael Montero, who has certainly been incredibly encouraging his last couple of starts, goes up against Robbie Ray in the early day game Thursday. Ray coming back from a concussion. That'll be his first start since returning. Here's Flores, who had a comebacker his first time up. And he takes the fastball on the corner.
Zach Godley is pitching tomorrow in his bio as the truck comes driving by. Selected by the Mets in the 2009 draft in the 50th round. Did not sign. Went to the University of Tennessee.
Sounds like a good choice.
Yes.
Slowly hit, might be 2. Drury to Marte. 4-6-3 double play. Second straight inning. Corbin's gotten a ground ball double play behind him. 2 out and nobody on.
Well, a couple of double plays now. A little problem there by Drury, because once he showed him the ball and gave him the toss here, he's right in line with the throw, so he had to duck and cover as Marte whizzed it by his head.
Often it's the runner who can be in the way of that throw, and sometimes they'll get down and slide short of the bag to avoid getting hit. Cespedes took the other route, which was to peel off. Last thing you need is to take a baseball to the coconut. And Arnaud takes a slider for a strike, and it's 0-2. Travis grounded out to short his first time up. And Corbin makes quick work of d'Arnaud, his 4th strikeout of the night. Tossed to first by Iannetta, inning over. After 4, 5-0 Arizona. by your local Ford dealers. The Ford Summer Sales Event is on. For big savings, go to buyfordnow.com. Milwaukee out to warm up Tommy Milone for the 5th inning. You know, Tommy Milone is a soft tosser. Doesn't seem soft when you look at it from that angle, right?
You'd be surprised how fast 89 miles an hour is, 90 miles an hour. But it's all relative to big league hitters because they're used to what they see.
David Peralta takes a curveball for ball 1. Third time around the batting order for Milone. He's gotten Peralta twice on ground balls to second base. Peralta 0 for 7 in this series. Another curveball fouled off, and it's 1-1. Chris Iannetta on deck, and then A.J. Pollock for the Diamondbacks in the 5th.
I guess the best example I can give of that, Gary, is that when I played, no problem standing at third base during batting practice, taking ground balls from the hitters as they hit it off the bat. I would not even be on the infield now. That's how fast the game seems to me now, as opposed to what it was when I played.
Do you think it's faster now than it was?
I don't think it's faster now than it was, because it's hard to gauge how fast it is when balls are in the air. But no, I don't think it's any faster on the ground. Maybe the infields are a little faster than my day.
Fly ball along the left field line. Cespedes to the sidewall, can't quite get it. Good effort by Cespedes. Just could not quite get there in time.
Well, it's hard to judge these plays because the wall comes in and is very dangerous for the players. You see Cespedes tries to stick out his glove and make a backhanded play. But if you go any harder than that, you're going to really flip over the rail.
Your only other choice is to slide, but he would have been so close to the wall. I'm not sure a slide would have worked in that instance.
So no, I don't think it's any faster, but your brain is used to the speed of the game. So I would stand in the infield and take ground balls, no big deal.
Right.
I wouldn't even get near the infield now.
Curveball fouled off, but I mean, certainly the way the radar gun spits out data,
yeah,
pitchers are throwing harder, and it seems as though hitters overall are stronger and might be hitting the ball harder than they did 20-30 years ago.
I think there's more guys hitting the ball harder. You know, you would have in the lineup maybe 3 or 4 guys who could really ring that bell. But now up and down the lineups, you know, guys they are bigger and stronger.
Of course, there was a time 20 years ago or so when they were cartoonishly strong. Outside for ball 4, and Peralta's on. First walk given up by Milone. Now Chris Iannetta, who's already having a big day, 2 for 2.
Well, raised an eyebrow when we saw him hitting that second hole, but boy, he's had a good game already. Going to right field, hit off Milone, and then coast to coast here, hitting the ball over the head of Cespedes. So single and double so far for the catcher Iannetta.
Now bats with Peralta aboard. Peralta has 7 stolen bases and 8 tries this year. First time tonight the Diamondbacks have had the leadoff man on. Milone up to 88 pitches. He threw 102 in his last rehab assignment for Binghamton 8 days ago. But he's probably pushing his limits for what the Mets expect from him tonight. So the bullpen's getting going. And he gets the changeup over for a strike, 1-1. And that is Kevin McGowan, who was just recalled today. Took Steven Matz's spot on the 25-man roster with Matz going on the DL. McGowan was up last week for several days but never got in a game. Might finally make his big league debut tonight. And the cutter in for a strike, 1-2. Malone looking for the double play ball from Iannetta. Takes it high, 2-2. Tommy Malone, 30 years old, pitched at Southern Cal, 10th round draft pick by the Nationals in 2008. 10 games over 500 for his career, despite a career ERA of 4.32. There are only 2 other active pitchers who have that high an ERA and are that far over 500, and one of them's in the ballpark tonight. Jorge De La Rosa, who of course has a high ERA because he pitched all those years in Colorado. The other one is Chris Tillman for the Orioles. Another guy who pitches in a great hitter's ballpark. 3-2 with nobody out. Peralta not running, and Iannetta skies one into shallow left center. Cespedes will take charge of this one, battles it, and stays with it. 1 out. Looked like it took off on him at the last moment.
Ball hit high enough here, it gets affected by the wind, and that was one of them.
And there are a lot of different wind currents because of the configuration of the outfield stands and where the scoreboard is. There's a little wind tunnel under the scoreboard.
That's one thing that hasn't changed. Shea Stadium had a lot of different microclimates of wind within its playing surface.
Now A.J. Pollock, who's 0 for 2. Well, you've got the flag at the top of the stands and then the flag lower that gets shielded by the scoreboard. They have very different wind patterns affecting them. Pollock hit the ground ball to short that Rosario booted to bring in a run in the 3rd inning. '95th pitch of the night coming up from Malone. This is to Pollock. 1-1. And you can see Malone's losing a little bit of steam now.
Well, this is the perfect time for as Goldschmidt's on deck for Torey Lovullo to play a little hit and run. You got good speed on first base, and you got a guy at the plate who should be able to make contact.
Big hole on the right side of the infield. Pollock pulls one, just foul.
That was a hard call from Mike Estabrook because the ball was right at him, so he had to sort of olay it at the same time in making the call. Watch, right at him. So he's got to get out of the way, but keep his eye not only on the ball, but where it goes by the base and where it lands.
And a good call. Diamondbacks asking the umpire to hold up so they can have their replay guy look at it, but clearly it was foul. And they finally wave it off. One-two coming. Little tapper. Malone's only play will be to first. In time to get Pollock. Peralta moves up to second. Now they're 2 away. Now, do you pitch to Goldschmidt or do you pitch to Martinez? Either way, it looks like it'll be a new pitcher who does the pitching. So Malone is out. Kevin McGowan will come in to make his major league debut. 5-0 Arizona in the 5th. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. Major League mound for Kevin McGowan. We saw him in spring training. He was here for a few days last week, and now he finally gets into a big league game.
Number 61 in your scorecard: fastball, breaking ball, and changeup. Good changeup. He'll sink that fastball.
Tommy Milone out after 4 2/3 innings through 96 pitches. Paul Goldschmidt will be the first man McGowan faces in the major leagues.
Well, the double location was a cutter that was trying to work in. It didn't get in enough, laced down the line, and then the fly out, a better pitch. See that right on the outside corner and down.
Kevin Plawecki's in the game to catch in the double switch for the Mets. Peralta at second with 2 out. Now McGowan's first big league pitch is a slider in for a strike. And they'll take it out of play and authenticate it so that McGowan will have a record in a baseball from the first pitch he threw in the majors. Don't get too much dirt on it. Authenticator has it. Now being authenticated.
I thought I saw a little sleight of hand. I'm not sure that's the ball.
And don't make trouble. You saying they didn't take the first ball out of play, the first pitch you threw in the big leagues, and authenticated?
No.
It's a different era. And the fastball outside, 2-1.
You know, 2 out, man on first for Goldschmidt in his first at bat in the first inning. You see Cicchini playing up the middle. And now he's playing really in the same position, except Wilmer has really come off the bag he was holding the runner on before, obviously, was trying to plug that hole.
Well, we've talked about how Goldschmidt, particularly with 2 strikes in RBI situations, will try and go to right field.
Best
He's in that spot now.
Best I ever saw at that is today's players is Miguel Cabrera.
Two to Goldschmidt. Fouled away. Plawecki back for a look, but that's in the crowd. Well, in one respect, Kevin McGowan certainly fits in. He's got the hair.
As Dennis Eckersley said, he's got the good moss. There's some good hair. Shorter than it was when he was pitching.
25 years of age. Nashua, New Hampshire, Franklin Pierce University. Only the second player from that school ever to make it to the big leagues. Facing Goldschmidt, who lines one in the gap in right center field, and he's got himself an extra base hit. That'll bring in Peralta. And Goldschmidt has his second double of the night. This one drives in a run, and it's 6-0 Arizona. Well, 2 strikes, RBI situation. Goldschmidt going the other way.
Well, we've just seen it happen too many times. Four-seamer by McGowan, trying to paint him on the outside corner. Ball was up just enough for Goldschmidt to smoke it. With authority to the 380 sign. See, ball's just up. We showed you in the second at bat. The pitch was down, and that's the one he popped up on. That needed to be down a notch.
Now J.D. Martinez with Goldschmidt at second. Foul tips the fastball.
Just got such a short stroke for a big man. Really honed his craft as a hitter.
30 doubles, 97 RBIs now for Goldschmidt. Martinez hit the 3-run homer in the first inning that got the Diamondbacks off and running against Tommy Milone, whose book is now closed. Milone allowed 6 runs, 5 earned, 5 hits, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts over 4 2/3. We mentioned that J.D. Martinez's home run in the first gives him a home run against all 30 big league teams, and then it took him only 133 home runs to get there. It's not a record. Jose Guillen hit home runs against all 30 major league teams. Took him only 79 home runs to do that. I don't know how that's possible, but Elias says it's true, so it must be true.
Did Guillen early in his career play with a lot of different teams? Because that can help.
Well, he played for 10 teams.
Yeah.
So he was very well traveled.
At his best, he was a good player, though. Had lots of pop and an unbelievable arm.
Great arm. Let's just say he wore out his welcome a few places. 2-1. And Martinez pops it up. Who's going to get it? Flores calling, Cicchini calling, and Cicchini makes the catch and survives and gets Kevin McGowan his first out in the big leagues in scary fashion. Wilmer backs into him. Cicchini going down and stays with it. Two hands. That's pretty good. Two hands going down. Is there a silver lining to Steven Matz's season-ending surgery? Find out why fans should be optimistic on Mets blog presented by Citi, featured on SNY.TV. I just read them. Matt Reynolds leading off in the home fifth inning. He struck out his first time up. And a half swing. He did not go around. 1-1 to Reynolds. Rosario and Cicchini to follow against Patrick Corbin. The upstate New York native has held the Mets to just 2 hits over the first 4 innings. Grew up in the Syracuse area where they had Mets and Yankee games on TV when Corbin was a kid. He was a Yankee fan, and particularly an Andy Pettitte fan, which makes a lot of sense.
Well, I mean, what's interesting, though, is Corbin kind of came to baseball late, right? He was a basketball player and was asked to kind of try out for the team, and in his bio it says he showed up in jeans.
His junior year in high school, yeah. But it doesn't go without notice as he strikes out Reynolds that he wears Andy Pettitte's number 46.
Well, if you're of a certain age, it was hard not to grow up with a team that was winning the World Series seemingly each and every year.
Your 4th, 5th inning recap. J.D. Martinez with the home run that got the Diamondbacks off to the fast start, and Corbin has handled it from there as Arizona has continued to tack on. Here's Ahmed Rosario, grounded out to short his first time up. 20th start for Rosario tonight. And he flies one deep down the left field line, headed right toward the corner. It's out of here. Ahmed Rosario keeps it fair down the line, his 3rd major league home run to get the Mets on the board tonight.
Well, Corbin threw him a nasty slider on the first pitch and then hung one on the second one, and Rosario didn't miss it.
Third home run for Rosario. 6-1 Arizona.
Right in the middle of the plate. Ball never really hooked. Usually you see that ball hook a little bit. Stayed pretty true.
Now Gavin Cicchini with a base hit to center field his first time up. Rosario's home run, just the third Mets hit of the night.
See the side swing right off that back leg, and that foot moves forward. Long flowing swing there by Rosario. Long follow through.
That Mets home run means $2,000, enough for No Kid Hungry to provide 20,000 meals courtesy of City. And Cicchini takes a slider for a strike. 2-1. 2-2. Kevin Plawecki's batting in the 9th spot in the order. He's on deck. This is the first time we've really seen Rosario pull the ball.
Yeah, it's interesting. Other than the triple he hit in Colorado, it's hard to say, but most of his power's gone the other way.
Well, there was nothing he could do with that pitch except pull it. '23rd home run Corbin's allowed this year. Now you think of that as being a big number, but every pitcher who's gotten this deep into the season, taken a regular turn, seems to have given up that many. Cicchini yanks one foul. Nice play on the carom by Christopher. I think Chris is too good for that spot. He needs to move to a higher league.
Closer. He is good.
Two outside, and you know the ball boys have had to learn an entirely new set of ground rules here in terms of playing the caroms with the new netting.
That's right.
Balls that used to be in the stands now are theirs. That's lined down the line by Cicchini, but just foul. And that one, after we give him all the props, eludes our buddy Chris.
One-handed it, and not even with the leather. Try to one-hand it with the open hand.
Now the retrieval and a satisfied customer. Cicchini lofts one to left center. Cutting back is Pollock to get there. 2 out. Cicchini's had a couple of good at bats in a row. So 2 out. Now Plawecki will bat for the first time. Kevin started last night, went 1 for 2 and a walk. He's made 2 starts since returning from the minors. He had a home run the first game and a double the second. So he's had a little bit of carryover from the fine numbers that he put up in Vegas.
He always reminds me, though, of the classic example of when he got out of college, drafted, came to the major leagues. You and I always commented on how close he stood on the plate. He didn't have an open stance, and he kind of dared pitchers to come in there and was lightning quick. But in his professional growth, a different kind of off the plate, open stance. See the defense. Goldschmidt off first base by about 30 feet.
Right near the bag at second. Drury makes the toss to get Plawecki getting over. Mets get on the board though. Ahmed Rosario clubbing one down the left field line. His 3rd home run. Cuts the Diamondbacks lead to 6-1 after 5. Tonight's quote of the game presented by Investors Bank, banking in your best interest, from the late Ernie Harwell. Baseball's a lot like life. Make the most of your opportunities in baseball as you do in life. It's a good time for us to note the passing of another noted broadcaster who just passed away last night, and a guy who I'm sure that the vast majority of our viewers are not familiar with, but certainly was a notable and history-making figure. His name was Philo Ramirez, and he was the longtime Spanish language broadcaster for the Miami Marlins, and he passed away last night at the age of 94. Philo was still broadcasting Marlins games this year at age 94 until he took a fall in Philadelphia in April and passed away last night.
In fact, you and I were commenting the last time we were in Miami as he kind of shuffled by us, his 94-year-old shuffle, that we were amazed that he was still doing what he did and doing what he loved. And that fall in Philadelphia cost him a couple months in the hospital. He never really recovered.
Philo was a Fort Frick Award winner, so his plaque is in the Hall of Fame. He was inducted in 2001. And, you know, we only got to know him off the air, didn't really know him on the air because I don't speak Spanish, and
Neither do I.
Ronnie's is probably no better than mine. But everybody who ever worked with him or that I know that listened to him said he was the best of the best. So our condolences to Philo's family, and he will be greatly missed. Cabrera throws out Drury for the first out. Let's check in with the studio. Justine Ward has a game break brought to you by your local Tri-Honda dealers. All right, Justine, he had plenty of company, by the way, in that game. There were 9 home runs hit in that first game of the doubleheader, Miami winning 12-8.
It's like when the Mets were in Philadelphia.
Diamondbacks going, the Marlins are going for the sweep of the doubleheader. They're up 6-0 in the third inning of the nightcap. And there have been 2 more home runs in that game, including Ozuna with his 29th. Ketel Marte takes a rip. Marte turning around about left-handed against the right-hander Kevin McGowan, making his major league debut. Jake Barrett, just back from the minor leagues for the Diamondbacks, gets up in the bullpen. Marte struck out twice against Malone. Tommy struck out 5 4 2/3, but he gave up 6 runs, 5 earned over those 4 2/3. And McGowan misses away, 3-1. Kevin McGowan, just 25 years old. 44 games in Vegas this year. Fouled off Plawecki. 3-2. I remember when we saw McGowan in spring training, we saw him really good and then not so good.
Yeah, he had a tough outing one day.
Going with those old-fashioned stirrups like Sean Gilmartin used to when he pitched for the Mets. 3-2 to Marte. Line to short, right at Rosario. He was all set to leap, but he didn't have to, and there are 2 out. So Adam Rosales had one of the fastest home run trots we've ever seen. Figured we'd match him up against Bartolo Colon. Who's going to win the race? So Rosales gets the second before Bart gets to first.
They're going to be tied when he touches home. Just about.
Just about. So basically, Bart went halfway when Rosales had already finished.
That's great.
Well, you said at the time when Colon hit the home run, you said, I don't know if he's going particularly slow or that's how fast he runs.
I'd never seen him run, really. I mean, he's the only guy that turned doubles into singles, triples into doubles.
Rosales' home run was his 5th of the year, his 1st for the Diamondbacks, and his 10th game for his new team. McGowan with a good-looking slider, 1-2.
We saw him in spring training. I thought of him more of a hard thrower, but lots of changeups and sliders from McGowan. 4 saves in AAA Las Vegas.
1-2 coming. Fouled away. The only other player from Franklin Pierce University in New Hampshire to make it to the big leagues was actually a pitcher for the Diamondbacks earlier this season. Steve Hathaway. 1-2, and he struck him out. First big league strikeout for Kevin McGowan. 1-2-3 inning. Ahmed Rosario's home run got the Mets on the board in the 5th. They've had only 3 hits in the first 5 innings against Patrick Corbin. Third time around the batting order now. Juan Lagares leads off and gets the first pitch in the air to left field. Coming toward the line, Peralta. 1 pitch and 1 out for Corbin in the 6th. So Lagares now 0 for 3. And here's Asdrubal Cabrera. Cabrera came up with 2 men on in the 3rd, hit a ball that looked like it might go through the hole and driving a run, but Adam Rosales made a fine diving snag and started a 5-4-3 double play to get Corbin through that inning. And Cabrera taking all the way. Call strike. You know, it's a warm, humid night in New York tonight. And I'm looking at Corbin's uniform and I'm thinking he looks like he sweated it through. And then I'm not sure, maybe it's just the color of the uniform.
No, he's when he's sweating those grays, as you said, the grays, it gets darker.
Another chance for Marte, who's had a busy night. And there are 2 out. SNY's Super Slow Motion is brought to you by Your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. Now Cespedes with 2 out and nobody on. He's been on base twice with a single and a walk tonight. Looks like Cespedes' bat is starting to heat up. When Rosario hit the home run against Corbin in the last inning, as Josh Smoker gets up in the Mets bullpen, it snapped a stretch of 20 1/3 consecutive scoreless innings for Corbin. And maybe that's what gets him on track for the rest of the season, because it's been kind of an up and down year for him, and a year when the Diamondbacks overall have gotten great starting pitching. That's laced toward the middle, a base hit for Cespedes. Corbin was fortunate that one didn't tag him on the way through. Cespedes 2 for 2, and he's starting to hit everything hard.
Fastball is supposed to be in. It's right down the middle, and he hits it right up the middle.
I mean, it goes just past Corbin's pitching shoulder.
Yeah, lean enough to get out of the way. Good try by Drury.
So Cespedes on base for the 3rd straight time, and now Wilmer Flores. So have you thought about it? Wilmer, is he a Ross? Is he a Chandler? Is he a Joey?
That's interesting. I would say that he's more of a. Is it Ross or Chandler? He's not Joey.
He's not funny enough to be Chandler.
Yeah,
I think he's got to be Ross.
Yes, I agree. What's the story? He watched Friends. That's where he picked up some of his initial English.
English, okay. Yeah, watching Friends. Certainly ubiquitous enough when he was coming up through the minor leagues. You could see it almost every hour. Still can. Pulled down to 3rd. Nice stop by Rosales. Has a long throw to make on target, and Goldschmidt stays on the bag to end the inning. Rosales has had himself quite a night.
Did I tell you how good that defense is for the Arizona Diamondbacks, Gary?
Things could change in a dime in this game, Ronnie. Seventh inning. Kevin McGowan's big league debut continues. He's got an inning and a third. Gave up a double to the first man he faced, Paul Goldschmidt, who's retired 4 in a row since, and now takes on the pitcher Corbin, who's been up twice and struck out both times. And he falls behind him 2-0. Corbin, then David Peralta and Chris Iannetta for the D-backs in the 7th. They lead 6-1. They've led right from the jump. And Corbin has done the rest. 6 solid innings for the Clay, New York product. Clay, New York, and then Mohawk Valley Community College. And then went to JUCO in Florida after that, which is where he was drafted by the Angels. And that's ball 4, and Corbin's on with the leadoff walk. Let's check in with the studio. Justine Ward has another game break brought to you by the New York State Department of Health. Two first place teams going head to head. One with a 14-game lead, the other with a 12.5-game lead. David Peralta takes inside. The Nationals right now playing without any of their projected starting outfield. Right? First Eaton went down, then Worth went down, then Harper went down. That's grounded through the hole. A base hit for Peralta, his first hit of the series. Corbin pulls in at second, and the D-backs have 2 men on. Worth looks like he's on his way back, though. He's on a rehab assignment.
So is Trey Turner. He's almost back.
But the Nationals have gone through such a slew of outfielders. Taylor got hurt. Goodwin got hurt. They have Alejandro De Aza playing for them now.
Well, there was talk that they were interested in Granderson for a while before Granny was traded to the Dodgers.
Well, of course, so much will depend on how quickly Harper is able to get back and whether he can play at his full level by the time the postseason arrives. Mets will see the Nationals this weekend in Washington.
Those bone bruises are tricky things, right?
Mets found that out with Ike Davis. Remember when he had that collision with David Wright in Colorado, and they thought it was a short-term thing, and it cost him 4 or 5 months. I certainly hope it's nothing anywhere close to that for Harper. Hansel Robles up in the Mets bullpen as McGowan finds trouble here in the 7th. Iannetta's 2 for 3, a single and a double. He scored 2 runs.
McGowan's lost the feel for his slider this inning.
How does that happen exactly?
You know, you're cruising around and all of a sudden you're throwing it a little too hard. Doesn't give it a chance to break. You're missing with your fastball like you did right there, and you're behind hitters. It's a touch and feel kind of pitch, Gary, and sometimes it comes out of your hand, you know it's going to be a strike every time, and sometimes you just have no feel for it at all.
3-0, and Iannetta swinging got ahead of it and hit it up into the promenade. .3-0 swings are such interesting animals, right? I mean, for years most hitters were not given green lights on 3-0 because they did get over anxious, much like Iannetta just did.
You really knew the half-dozen guys in the league who would swing 3-0.
Now it seems like just about anybody gets that opportunity. There's ball 4 and the bases are loaded, so things going backwards for McGowan here in the 7th. 2 walks bracketing a single, and Terry Collins tells Kevin Plawecki to go out and buy some time for the bullpen.
Well, Smoker had been up for quite some time, but then they changed because instant trouble here from McGowan. They got Robles up because of Pollock and Goldschmidt and Martinez and Drury, the right-handed hitters.
Terry's going to make another double switch. Flores made the last out. Nimmo's coming into the game. We'll catch you up on all the machinations when we come back. 6-1 in the 7th. Inning. Well, Matt Reynolds had never played a game in right field in his career, majors or minors, before tonight. He never played a game at first base either, and now he's at first base as Brandon Nimmo comes in to play right field. Nimmo will hit in the 5 spot where the pitcher had been, and the new pitcher Hansel Robles will hit 4th.
Defensively, the Mets are kind of making up things as they go along. Robles in the game. McGowan went an inning in the 3rd, but leaves the bases loaded for Robles.
Here's the way I look at it with Reynolds. If he's going to have a future in the major leagues, it's going to be as a utility man, and the Mets are now seeing whether he can play everywhere, which is where you have to be able to play.
But at this level, it would have been nice if they did it if he played before some of those positions. But
well, when you're out of the race, I guess now's the time.
He's a fine player, good fielder. He can handle himself anywhere. You know, just knowing the cutoff positions, all of that is difficult.
Says Dianetta, I don't really know what I'm doing here, but watch out. Bases loaded, nobody out. Pollock, the batter, is 0 for 3 tonight. So Robles steps into a mess after McGowan went an inning in the 3rd, gave up 2 hits and 2 walks. And Pollock swings and hits the first pitch to shallow right center. Lagares in. Corbin's not going to tag. Lagares knew that. 1 out. So 1 pitch, and Robles gets the first out. Now he's going to face Goldschmidt with the bases full. Goldschmidt tonight has a pair of doubles, hit 1 down the left field line in the 1st, and then 1 to right center that drove in a run in the 5th. Goldschmidt is 4 for 5 in his career against Hansel Robles.
Well, you saw in the first series that the Mets had some success against Goldschmidt if you pitch him up and in, but Robles, for the most part, pitches away to most right-handed hitters.
And he starts him off with a slider in the dirt.
Interesting there. Anytime in the dirt, a hitter will if it doesn't get away from the catcher, he'll put his hand up to let the runner at third know not to come. But of course, Corbin at third base is not coming on anything, or just about anything.
Well, we know he can hit 360-degree slam dunks. What we don't know is his third to home speed. And Robles making it more difficult on himself, falling behind 2-0. J.D. Martinez waiting on deck. And Goldschmidt taking all the way, 2-1.
Robles was a little quicker to the plate there. I think that Goldschmidt wasn't ready. Usually he has that bat draped over his back right shoulder like that.
He was ready that time, but it missed outside, and now it's 3-1. Goldschmidt with his RBI double in the fifth has now driven in 97 runs this year. He could get to 100 quickly. And that's outside, ball 4, and that forces in a run. Third walk of the inning. Corbin trots in to score. 7-1 Arizona.
A lot of those pitches close by Robles, but they were balls.
So now J.D. Martinez, who got it all started with a first inning 3-run homer against Tommy Milone. And he bats here with the bases loaded and 1 out. Diamondbacks have now scored in 5 of the 7 innings. And Martinez takes a fastball strike. It is the 16th time this season that the Mets have walked in a run this year. Only 10 times all of last year. Carved foul, and it's 0-2. It'd be a leaguering year for Dan Warthen. What he expected, and all of us expected, was going to be a dominating year for Mets pitching, has been exactly the opposite. Oh-2 coming, and Martinez strikes out on the fastball. So Robles went right after him, and that's the second out of the inning.
Best fastball I've seen Robles throw in some time. He let it go, and by Martinez.
So 2 out, base is still loaded, and now Brandon Drury, who's 0 for 3 tonight. Grounded out twice and flied out. Peralta at third, Iannetta at second, Goldschmidt at first. And Drury takes a slider for a strike. He stops that ball in the dirt. 1-1.
You know, I was thinking, Gary, that how offensive challenging it is for Terry Collins to put a lineup out there right now. Brandon Drury, the second baseman, who's not lost his job but doesn't play all the time, has more RBIs than anyone that was in the original lineup for the Mets. At 49.
Drury, originally drafted by the Braves, came to the Diamondbacks when they traded away Justin Upton. And he pops one up in foul ground. Reynolds coming over to the barrier and runs into the new screening.
Well, what was interesting is he was trying to get over there to make sure he was all the way against the barrier, but then the ball fell about 5 feet over the back of his head.
It's territory he's not been in before. So the ball was in play, just not where he was. Growing pains.
I mean, he's done that 100 times, 1,000 times playing third base.
Well, he has, just not negotiating with the netting necessarily, because that's relatively new. 1-2 to Drury, and he gets one in there to left. Chasing Cespedes is back a few strides, but he has room. Onto the warning track to make the grab, and that retires the side. Bases loaded. Milwaukee adds a run to the Arizona ledger. They lead 7-1. Diamondbacks matchup, plus all the latest news from Jets and Giants camp on Daily News Live, presented by Citi, tomorrow at 5, only on SNY. Brandon Nimmo up for the first time as Patrick Corbin starts the bottom of the 7th. Nimmo started last night in center field, went 1 for 4 with the sacrifice. Nimmo, Reynolds, and Rosario for the Mets in the home 7th. We have rehab news, Ronnie.
That's daily, isn't it?
Well, this is a little more special.
Okay.
Because tonight in Port St. Lucie, David Wright played in a competitive baseball game for the first time in a year. He was the DH for the St. Lucie Mets. He went 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. The start of his rehab assignment as he tries to get back to the major leagues before the end of this season. David has had so many physical issues to deal with, from the spinal stenosis that he'll live with for the rest of his life, to the neck surgery that he had, to the difficulties he's had with his shoulder that have kept him out for this lengthy period of time. 3-2 to Nimmo.
You know, Terry Collins has been in communication with David and was trying to reassure him to take his time and, you know, not aggravate anything. And I thought it was interesting. He had a great quote. Hopefully I get it right here. I wrote it down. It's not about how much David plays, it's how well he plays or how he plays.
And that's something that Terry has said multiple times, and that he has been very frank with David, and that David's been very frank with him about. It's not about him getting back. It's about him getting back and being able to play at a championship level. Off off the end of the bat. Back to Corbin. And he throws out Nimmo one away. And of course, the exacerbating feature is if the Mets were an American League team and all that was required was for David to swing the bat, that would be difficult enough if he could come back as a DH. But because of the shoulder issues he has, if he's going to be more than just a pinch hitter, he needs to be able to throw. And I think the jury is very much still out on whether he's going to be able to do that. And if so, when he's going to be able to do that.
Well, he has been throwing, but not at the level to get him in the lineup as a third baseman yet.
Right. And I mean, there's certainly the possibility he may never play third base again because of the requirements in terms of your arm in that position.
I mean, you have to make throws from first base also, but not as many. And I'm just going back to one of his buddies, Ryan Zimmerman, who is having a career year this year in what, his 4th or 5th year at first base now, after some real hard luck and bad injuries.
And strike 3 called to Reynolds. And that's the second out.
It's the best I've seen Corbin, Gary. He's pinpoint with his control, fastball away here right at the belt. His slider's been as sharp as I've seen it, and there's a reason why he's been pitching so well of late.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Ahmed Rosario, who accounted for the only Met run with a home run in the 5th inning, is third. The other rehab news comes from Brooklyn, where Jeurys Familia pitched a hitless inning tonight. The plan is for Familia to pitch again tomorrow night. And once he has gone back-to-back games, if he's successful in doing that and he's feeling well, might be activated as soon as this weekend. And that would be a huge boon for the Mets bullpen. Mets have gone virtually the entire season without Familia, first because of suspension and then because of the blood clot that took him out of action. Drury throws out Rosario. 1-2-3 for Corbin in the 7th. He's got a 7-1 lead going to the 8th. One. Mets have lost 16 of their last 22 to fall 15 games under 500. And they are 6 runs down as we go to the 8th inning tonight. Alonso Robles, who walked in a run in the 7th, will work his 2nd inning in relief. Ketel Marte will lead off for the Diamondbacks in the 8th. Marte is 0 for 3 tonight, struck out twice and lined to short, 0 for 7 in the series. The Diamondbacks are down 2 shortstops, and both are out with hand injuries. Nick Ahmed, the University of Connecticut product, broke his hand. And so did Chris Owings, who had such a great series against the Mets in Arizona back in May. And so is left to Marte, who spent half the season in the minor leagues after coming over in a trade from Seattle, but now is getting the everyday reps at shortstop, and might be for a while.
Well, they're fortunate because he got a lot of reps last year for the Mariners. So.
And you know, anytime he can break out the seafoam green shoes, just
seafoam green. I love it. I love that there is a seafoam green.
Well, it's the color of many, well, many restrooms. That's lined into center field, a base hit for Marte. It's not often you see it on shoes. So Marte has his first hit in the series. And the first hit against Robles tonight. There's tonight's starters, brought to you by People's United Bank. Patrick Corbin's been terrific tonight. 7 innings, 1 run, 4 hits. Tommy Milone, first start back from 3 months on the disabled list. Not so good. Now the number 8 hitter, Adam Rosales, who homered back in the 4th inning. 1 for 3 on the night. And takes it low from Robles, 1-0. And Corbin is out on deck to bat for himself. Anytime a pitcher gets 4 plate appearances, he knows he's had a good day. Fastball strike from Robles, 1-1. Corbin's at 95 pitches through 7 innings. You know what's great?
Yes.
It's great is when I get the stats for the stat guy.
Not always great, is it?
When's Fried going to do the play-by-play? Only with the microphone off. Outside 2-2.
Said he's working on his accent. He's going to have it lose it by the end of the summer.
He's going to go for like a French accent instead.
I think British would be play better.
I mean, he's got a better shot at that. Well, we have had Dave's voice on the air before. Don't you remember when they had the concert here last year? This has popped up in the shallow center. Easy play for Lagares. And Rosales retired 1 out. This date in baseball history. Not only did the Rangers score 30 unanswered runs and win 30-3. This date in baseball history presented by Empire City Casino. But Wes Littleton pitched the last 3 innings for the Texas Rangers. And because he pitched the last 3 innings with a 27-run lead, he got the save. The save.
Gotta love it.
Quirky baseball rules 101. Anyway, last year we had the concert series and Styx played. And we found out that Dave was a Styx fan. And there weren't any real other Styx fans around to read the promo, so we had him read it. The only and he did it with great enthusiasm.
Yeah, great
enthusiasm, because you know, there's Dave. Nice bunt by Corbin, and Robles with the lollipop throw as Cicchini has it. 1-4 on the sacrifice. The only problem is that the way Dave speaks, there are very few segments of the population that can possibly understand what he says.
I mean,
it's not like it's a certain dialect that some people might understand and some people might not. It's almost like he's speaking gibberish.
So it's not like Aramaic.
No. I mean, he's from Brooklyn, but it's not like it's a Brooklyn accent. It's just kind of garbled. That's lined right at Cicchini, and that ends the inning. And so we move on to the bottom of the 8th inning with the Diamondbacks up 7-1. Patrick Corbin took a shutout into the 9th inning in his last start. Now he takes a 7-1 lead into the bottom of the 8th tonight. Gavin Cecchini leads off and takes ball 1. Cecchini 1 for 2, single to center, fly to center. Kevin Plawecki hitting in the 9th spot is on deck, and then Juan Lagares in the 8th. Corbin has walked 2. He struck out 6. He's allowed a run on 4 hits. The only run, an Ahmed Rosario home run in the 5th. And that's the only run Corbin has allowed in his last 23 1/3 innings.
That's starved for hits, Dave. Corbin now in 151 innings has given up 175 hits, but holding the Mets to 4 here.
Trying to do something tonight that he's never done before. The Mets are the only National League team that Patrick Corbin has never beaten. 0-3 lifetime with an ERA over 6 coming into the night. It's been a very different story in this game. And Cecchini punches it foul. 2-2. Corbin up to 100 pitches. He's thrown as many as 113 in a game this year. That was last month against Atlanta. And there is warm-up action going in the Diamondbacks bullpen now. 2-2. And Cecchini grounds one down to Goldschmidt. He'll make the flip to Corbin. 1 out. So 1 out and nobody on. There's Corbin's last couple. Shut out the Cubs for 6 2/3. Shut out the Astros for 6 2/3. And just 1 run in 7 1/3 tonight. Kevin Plawecki up for the 2nd time. Came on a double switch in the 5th. Grounded out to second base in his only appearance. Cubs are trailing tonight. They're down 6-4 to the Reds in the 6th inning. Scooter Gennett, 22nd home run. Scooter. That's the other Scooter.
4 in 1 game. Scooter.
Marte throws out Plawecki, 2 out. To your team. Take them with you. Watch every SNY Mets game wherever you are on any device all season long with live streaming presented by Verizon. Just download the NBC Sports app or visit SNY.TV, your home for live streaming coverage of every SNY Mets game. Cubs lead is just 2.5 in the National League Central over Milwaukee, 3.5 over St. Louis. So they are still very much in a race. Lagares is 0 for 3. And, you know, the National League has been lacking races with the East and West both walkovers. It looked as though for a long time that the wild card race was a walkover as well. Colorado and Arizona were far ahead of the pack, but the pack has moved a little closer the last couple of weeks.
It's not quite the American League, but it's a few more people in play.
One and 2 to Lagares. Well, in the American League, you can say everybody except 3 teams is still in it. In the air, left center field. And Peralta gets under it. Side retired. Corbin keeps it rolling. He's through 8, having allowed just 1 run and 4 hits. 7-1 Diamondbacks as we go to the 9th. NY is brought to you by Budweiser. Look for the Budweiser team at Citi Field this season for your chance to be the Budweiser fan of the game and win unique prizes just like these lucky winners. Must be 21 and over. Ninth inning at Citi Field. After we're done here and the guys back in the studio are done with the post game, it's Geico Sports Night. We'll have reaction from David Wright's rehab debut and Jay Reese Familia's latest rehab outing. Of course, Iannetta leads off in the ninth inning and drills one deep but foul down the left side.
A couple of hits for Iannetta and a walk. Nice game for him.
And nearly a long ball there against Robles, who's already worked 2 innings in relief and is being asked to go a little bit farther. Tommy Milone, the starter, went 4 2/3. Kevin McGowan in his big league debut went an inning and a third, and now Robles 2 innings and now a third. Fly ball out to right. Nimmo is there. 1 out, and there's nobody up in the Mets bullpen, so this is on Robles to try and finish off this top of the ninth. Game 3 of this series tomorrow night. Chris Flexen gets the start for the Mets. Zach Godley for the Diamondbacks. 6 o'clock the coverage right here on SNY. Matt Cook, former Met farmhand, is up in the Arizona bullpen.
Just called up yesterday, wasn't he?
A.J. Pollock is 0 for 4 tonight after his game-winning home run last night. And he takes a slider low and in. 2-0. Robles went 3 innings against Texas August 9th, threw 50 pitches in that game, and trying to go a 3rd inning tonight. Grounded right at Rosario. He charges and guns down Pollock, 2 away. Let's check in with the studio, see what's coming up on WB Mason Post Game Live. Gary Apple, Nelson Figueroa, guys. All right, guys, now it's Paul Goldschmidt, who's driven in 2 runs tonight, 2 doubles and a walk. 98 runs batted in now for Goldschmidt, who walked with the bases loaded against Robles in the 7th inning. We mentioned it was the 16th time this year a Met pitcher had walked in a run, the 3rd time that Robles has done it.
Goldschmidt is like a perennial or annual 3, 4, 5 guy. Bats over 300, on base percentage over 400, slugs over 500, almost close to 600 this year.
586 coming into the night, and better than that after his 2 doubles and 3 at bats. OPS over 1,000, and that is super elite territory. Well, he twice has finished second in the MVP balloting, to Andrew McCutchen in 2013, to Bryce Harper in 2015, but he didn't get a first place vote in either one of those ballots. I think he might get some first place votes this year, if not win it outright. It's got some good competition, although Harper's injury certainly puts a crimp in his candidacy. Reynolds makes the play on Goldschmidt. 1-2-3 inning for Robles, who does go 3 in relief. Last licks for the Mets, down 7-1. is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. Last of the ninth inning. 7-1 Arizona. Patrick Corbin went 8 terrific innings for the Diamondbacks. He's out. And the former Met farmhand Matt Cook will make his season debut for the Diamondbacks.
Well, he appeared in 7 games for them last year, but he's had some shoulder issues this year. Coming off those shoulder issues, his numbers in the minor leagues, as you can see, not very good. Here pitching in relief.
Third round pick by the Mets in 2012. The Mets traded him to the Diamondbacks in August of 2015 when they acquired Addison Reed.
That's right. From Cherokee, Iowa, University of Louisville.
As Dribble Cabrera 0 for 3 tonight, hitless in his last 10 at bats, as he leads off in the last of the ninth against Cook. And he takes the fastball away for ball 1. Patrick Corbin, 8 innings, 1 run, 4 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, and 1 home run. And in line for his 11th win. Cabrera fouls one away, and it's 1-1. As for the Mets, they are on the verge of falling to 1-6 on this current homestand. Drop 2 to the Yankees, 2 out of 3 to the Marlins, and about to drop a second straight to Arizona with 2 more games to go in this series. 2-1 to Cabrera. Cespedes on deck. Then the pitcher spot. And still have Smith and Conforto left on the bench. I think they're going to stay away from Conforto tonight. So there's Dominic Smith getting ready to pinch hit. Conforto was a late scratch today with a sore right thumb. The feeling was it was not serious. Then he'd be back in the lineup tomorrow night. But he does not figure to be used as a pinch hitter in this kind of a spot.
What was interesting about the lineup, though, is that he was batting leadoff in the lineup once again.
Is ball 4, and so Cabrera draws a leadoff walk from Matt Cook. First batter Cook's faced in the big leagues this year, and he walks him. And now Cespedes has been on base 3 times in a row, 2 singles and a walk tonight. Cespedes 5 for 7 in this series. Patrick Corbin, job well done. Waiting for Cook to get the final 3 outs. Cespedes, the last 4 games now, 8 hits and 14 at bats. He's raised his batting average 15 points over that span. And a call strike with a cutter, 0-1. Goldschmidt playing behind Cabrera at first. Dom Smith on deck to pinch hit. And Cespedes lines one to center, and he's got another hit. So Cespedes is 3 for 3 tonight, and the Mets have something cooking here in the ninth with the first 2 men on.
You mentioned it early, Gary. It's not only that he's getting these hits, but the sharpness and how hard and the velocity that he's hitting these base hits has changed in the last few days for Cespedes.
Now, if you're Torey Lovello and every game matters, and it does right now, how long do you wait before you get somebody else up in the bullpen? I think we're about to find out the answer, because Mike Butcher's going to the mound. There's some stirring around out there in right center field.
Well, you got to get someone up. This has been almost a lost season for Matt Cook. We showed his numbers in the minor leagues. You know, he can't be working on great confidence out there, and the first 2 guys get on. So you can't let him go too far.
Andrew Chafin quickly to work in the bullpen. Chafin worked last night. The Diamondbacks used 6 relief pitchers last night, so they shuffled things around a little bit. The kid who got his first big league win last night, Jimmy Sherfy, got sent to the minors, and they brought up an extra arm, Jake Barrett, who was up earlier in this game, because they knew that they might be a little short in the bullpen. Corbin made it easier for them by going 8 innings tonight, but they still need to finish off this game. Mets would love to put together a little bit of a rally here in the ninth. Dom Smith 1 for 5 last night. Bats here with 2 aboard and nobody out. takes a knee-high fastball for a strike. As Cook pitches, Chafin readies himself.
He wants some water. He threw 5 really quick tosses to the catcher, and now he's pitching, hitting the corner.
So 5 pitches and then what? Is that how that works?
Well, he probably didn't expect to have to get up so quickly.
Smith drives one deep to the gap in right center. That ball is to the wall and off the top and over for a ground rule double. That'll bring in Cabrera to make it 7-2 and put runners at second and third with nobody out. Starting to get a little more serious now. Pinch hit double by Dom Smith drives in a run.
Little ball away and down. We've seen him now show us some power to the gaps.
Smith's first major league double and his 4th run batted in, and Chafin starts throwing a little more earnestly, and here comes Torey Lovullo, and he's going to make the change right here with Brandon Nimmo coming up. So whether Chafin's ready or not, he's coming to the game, hydrated or not. So Cook faces 3 batters, doesn't retire anybody. Mets have a run home here in the 9th and hoping for a miracle. Down 7-2. Chafin coming in. We'll be right back. Back in there tonight.
Well, the numbers that stand out are the 56 games now for Andrew Chafin, and never did runners stranded. That's a pretty good number also, but numbers against left-handed hitters not great.
Now last night Nimmo came up against Chafin and he was asked to sacrifice. Now he's got to swing the bat. Cespedes at third, Smith at second, nobody out, a run home here in the last of the ninth. Mets still down by 5. And Nimmo grounds one foul. Matt Reynolds is on deck. Ahmed Rosario behind him. The Diamondbacks are getting a right-hander up now, and that's their closer, Fernando Rodney, who probably figured 7-1 going to the bottom of the ninth that he'd have the night off. May not be the case. One to Nimmo. And he lays off a pitch low. Nimmo's had 1 at bat in this game after coming on in a double switch in the 7th. He had a comebacker in his only at bat against Patrick Corbin, who was taken out after 8 innings and 107 pitches. 7 batters, but Matt Cook faced 3 and retired none. And a fastball strike to Nimmo, 1-2. Matt Reynolds, who tonight has played 2 positions that he's never played before in his life, is on deck. First ever pro outing in right field, and then moved to first base for his first pro experience there. It's been that kind of a homestand. 1-2 coming, and Nimmo foul tips it, and it's held by Iannetta for the 3rd strike. 1 out.
There's no science or talent to this. You just hope it sticks in the leather. Foul tipped, and just got it in the end of the glove. Picked it right off the dirt.
So 1 out, and I would imagine if Nimmo had gotten on, we would have seen Rodney right here because it would have created a save situation. But Chafin will stay in to face Reynolds, who's been up 3 times and struck out all 3. 2nd and 3rd and 1 out. And Matt fouls away the fastball. It is not a save situation for Chafin. But one more base runner would create a save situation for the next guy because the tying run would be on deck. Cespedes at 3rd, Smith at 2nd with 1 out. And Reynolds takes the fastball, just missed, 1-1. Ahmed Rosario, who homered back in the 5th inning, waiting on deck. Reynolds 3 strikeouts tonight, has never struck out 4 times in the game. And that's too high, 2-1. And Reynolds foul tips the fastball, and it's 2-2. 27-year-old Andrew Chafin, Kent State University product. It's a golden flash. Matt Reynolds, University of Arkansas product. He's a Razorback. Two coming. Fouled away. Now the 2-2, and Reynolds tries to lay off the slider, and he held the swing, and he's worked a full count. Rally caps firmly in place.
Yeah, rally indeed.
Crowd small but vociferous. 3-2. Grounded right at the shortstop. A run will score, but Marte gets the out. Cespedes scores to make it 7-3, but now the Mets are down to their final out of the night. And Ahmed Rosario coming up. Rosario 1 for 3. Got the Mets on the board in the 5th inning with his 3rd major league home run. And now trying to keep the Mets alive in the bottom of the 9th. Smith at 2nd with 2 out. Mets have scored twice here in the bottom of the 9th, still 4 runs shy. And Rosario can't hold up. 0-1. Now that's a different kind of rally cap. Hopes you finish the ice cream. That's driven out to left field along the line. Over comes Peralta. Can't get it. Smith scores around second. Rosario. He's going to try for 3, and he makes it safely. An RBI triple for Rosario. Now it's 7-4. A home run and a run-scoring triple tonight for the rookie. His 3rd big league triple.
Well, the young man's still playing hard. Gets this kind of off the end of the bat, and it drops in front of Peralta, who's had some troubles in left field. And by the time he gets to it, you really see the speed of Rosario. And now his 3rd triple. Running hard out of the box. Still playing hard. A little giddy up there. And Peralta was going to corral that when he didn't. He took the extra base in a quarter.
Better take the extra base and make it if you're going to try in that spot, down by 3 runs. Well, Fernando Rodney now has a save situation. He needs 1 out to get it. Mets have scored 3 in the 9th. We'll be right back. Fernando Rodney got his 28th save of the year last night, despite giving up a home run to Michael Conforto. He needs just 1 out to record a save tonight. 3rd in the league for Fernando Rodney with those 28 saves, 289 of them in his career. That's a score 3 times in the 9th. All 3 runs charged to Matt Cook. Rosario at 3rd with 2 out. Gavin Cecchini, the batter, against Rodney. Let's need 1 more base runner to get the tying run to the plate. They trailed by 6 when they came to bat in the bottom of the 9th. And Cecchini takes a fastball strike. If Cecchini keeps it going, Kevin Plawecki would be next. Rodney last night came into a 3-1 game in the 10th, gave up a leadoff home run to Conforto, but then retired the next 3 hitters. And the changeup hit down to 3rd, handled by Rosales. Takes his time. Overhand throw in time to get Cecchini. And the Diamondbacks hang on to win. Mets get 3 in the bottom of the 9th. But not enough. Patrick Corbin with 8 strong innings. J.D. Martinez, a 3-run first-inning home run. And the Diamondbacks beat the Mets 7-4.
Well, more of the same for the Mets. For the 17th time, they gave up 3 runs or more in the first inning behind the 8 ball. And their record now when they score 4 or less runs is 9-58 for the year.
Mets fall to 16 games under 500. Their 70th loss of the year. They are 5-17, 6-17 in their last 23 games. Game summary presented by Verizon. Corbin was the star tonight with 8 strong innings. The upstate New York native gets his 11th victory of the season. Rodney 1 out for his 29th save. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Hyundai. There's no better time to buy a new Hyundai than now. See your local Hyundai dealer or visit buyhyundai.com. By MTA Bridges and Tunnels, cashless tolling is here. Get Easy Pass today to save up to 50% on tolls. By Optimum, for the best offers on TV, internet, and phone, visit Optimum.com. And by New York Community Bank and the NYCB Family Banks. Visit them at mynycb.com. Final score tonight, the Diamondbacks 7 and the Mets 4. Arizona's taken the first 2 games of the series. Game 3 tomorrow night. Chris Flexen against Zach Godley. Our coverage begins at 6 o'clock tomorrow night right here on SNY. Now for Ron Darling, Steve Gelbs, and our entire SNY crew, I'm Gary Cohen at Citi Field. Time for WB Mason Postgame Live. Let's join Gary Apple and Nelson Figueroa. Guys?